If Trump runs in a third party, he would face ballot access, sore loser law hurdles, but it's not impossible. Trump has declined to commit to supporting whoever wins the 2024 GOP presidential nomination. Donald Trump, heading into 2024 as a former president and leader of his party, is giving essentially the same answer he gave going into 2016 as an insurgent outsider when asked whether he would support the Republican presidential nominee. Hugh Hewitt asked Trump in an interview whether he would commit to endorsing the GOP general election candidate, to which Trump responded, "It would have to depend on who the nominee was." Trump gave a similar answer in 2015 during the first Republican presidential primary debate of the 2016 cycle, hinting, or perhaps threatening, a third-party campaign should he lose the GOP nomination. In such a scenario, Trump would face significant, but not insurmountable, ballot access hurdles if he were to become the first former president since Teddy Roosevelt to run as a third-party candidate. The hurdles include early deadlines in some states and so-called sore loser laws designed to make it more difficult for a candidate to run under a third party after losing one party's primary. He could do it. The Libertarians are on the ballot in all 50 states. I don't think he will try to do it, Richard Winger, editor of Ballot Access News and a frequent advocate for third-party candidates, told Fox News Digital. By most measures, Trump is the front-runner for the Republican nomination, but polling shows vulnerability. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has beaten Trump in several polls for a hypothetical one-on-one contest. In the more likely scenario of a multi-candidate field, Trump leads DeSantis and all other potential challengers. In one respect, it would be easier for Trump to get on the ballot than it was for another larger-than-life billionaire, Ross Perot, in 1992. That year, Perot, who went on to win 19% of the popular vote, needed about 695,000 signatures to be on ballots in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. After several states, including Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and North Carolina, lightened their signature requirements, the number of signatures was 568,689 nationally in 2020 to be on the ballot in 50 states and D.C., Winger said. Generally, the sore loser laws either outright prohibit a candidate who competed in one party's primary from running as an independent, or the state laws place the filing deadline to run as a third party or independent in a general election on the same day as filing to run in a party primary. Every state except Connecticut, Iowa, and New York has some form of the law. However, these laws were previously understood to apply only to down-ballot races such as governor, Congress, or local races. Until 2012, no state ever perceived a sore loser law to apply to presidential primaries, Winger said. That's because it was always understood that in primaries people are voting for delegates to the national conventions, and in the general elections, voters are voting for presidential electors. In 2012, former New Mexico Republican Governor Gary Johnson dropped out after a brief run in the GOP primary to run for president in the Libertarian Party. Michigan sought to block him from the state ballot, and a federal court sided with the state, ruling that it had the right to enforce the election law. Johnson reportedly missed the Michigan deadline by 3 minutes to withdraw from the state's GOP primary ballot. Republican Representative John Anderson of Illinois managed to win 6% of the vote as an independent presidential candidate in 1980 after he briefly ran in the 1980 Republican primary. Anderson did not have the same problem as modern-day third parties, so there has been a real regression for ballot access, Winger said. The closest historical parallel would be the 1912 presidential election, when after being out of office for 4 years, Teddy Roosevelt challenged President William Howard Taft for the Republican nomination. After Taft won, Roosevelt ran under the Progressive Party, nicknamed the Bull Moose Party. The GOP split cut an easy path for Democrat Woodrow Wilson to win the presidency.